Welcome friends once again, and today we are going to take one shloka from the third chapter. And here Arjuna is saying that, O Janardana, Krishna the divine liberator, if you consider understanding superior to action, why, O Keshava, have you been urging me to this terrible action? This apparent contradiction confuses me. Please tell me clearly which path will help me toward the highest good. And later on, Swamiji explains that here Arjuna is speaking from all our, from you can say from the perspective of all the devotees, and he's kind of behaving like a devil's advocate. And he explains that on the one hand, Arjuna is telling Krishna that you tell me to become absorbed in the stillness of the spirit. On the other hand, you say, I must fight against my natural foes, my evil tendencies, both for my own good and for the benefit of others. Why can't I simply rest calmly and joyfully in the Supreme Self, as you have also enjoined? Now, this is also one of my favorite shlokas, because this is by and large a devotee's predicament. You may say that here we are, we have to slog, we have to work hard, we have to struggle, and we want to merge back into God, and we are trying, we are doing our best, and at the same time we have these other works to do. Many of us are householders, we have all those responsibilities which we have to undertake. And here in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that yes, your duty is to merge back into God, and God is stillness. And if you have to merge in stillness, then you have to work for it and you have to meditate. But at the same time, Arjuna finds himself that if stillness is the goal, then why am I need to act? Why am I asked to fight this battle where I have to fight these evil tendencies, as Krishna is saying that you have to get over them? So let us first see what is the goal like. As in Bible also there is this saying that be still and know that ye are gods. So in a way, a devotee's path is very much clear, that yes, the goal that he has to attain for himself is very simple, that he has to attain that stillness. And by and large this is very clear, because true rest can only be found in stillness. And if we see from a day-to-day perspective also, that when you come from your day's work, you feel tired, then what do? You lie on the bed, and that is one way of keeping our body still, that yes, you are passive, you are making your body, you're giving rest, because in motion, when you were in motion, you were feeling tiredness. So on one level we intuitively know that yes, when I will calm myself, when I will give rest to my body, when I will be still, I will be restful. And this is exactly what happens in the sleep also, because if you see in the sleep, our body is absolutely motionless. By and large, yes, we do unconsciously or subconsciously we are moving our body, but by and large our bodies are still, and by and large our minds are also still to certain degree. And that is why we feel rejuvenated. When we come back into the morning, we feel fresh. But then Yogananda explains that there are times, when your mind is not at rest completely during the sleep and your mind is in motion. That is why you dream, because the mind was in motion. So the same pictures which our mind is creating, they get projected on the screen and they are seen as dreams. So, but Yogananda here brings another point. He said that yes, the deep sleep can only happen when we have a dreamless sleep, when the mind is also absolutely still, the body is also absolutely still. But he said that this kind of rest is a passive rest. It will give us rest in our day-to-day life, but he said whatever you can do, he said, unconsciously, you can also do consciously. And that is the whole objective of meditation, because in meditation we are not sleeping, we stay alert, but at the same time we are keeping our body still, we are keeping our mind still. And he said, because you are doing it consciously, This kind of rest is going to be 1,000 times better than the passive rest that we get in the sleep. So, on one level, Arjuna is making this point here that yes, I have understood, Krishna, your point that my job is to get into stillness. But oh Janardana, why are you trying? Why are you asking me to get into the action? Why can't I attain the actionless state like this? And this is something, I was in a way we can understand this on different levels, that why do we need to act? Just like Swami Kriyananda at one point said that yes, he always wanted to be hermit, but his guru told him that you need to go and lecture and edit and write. And not only that, he had to take many classes. As Swami explained, that creating Ananda village was not an easy thing. There was nobody in the beginning, he was all alone, and he was taking classes, and he, whatever fee was coming through that classes, through that money ultimately he was able to buy a land. And at times, Swami Kriyananda used to pray to Divine Mother that Divine Mother, I never wanted money for myself. All I wanted was God. I wanted to be a hermit. But why do I have to think about the payment of the bills? Why do I have to bother about the money? And then you can very well understand that yes, that state was not different from what a householder's responsibilities are when he has to worry about all these things. But if we see it from one of the other angles, I was in the spiritual renewal week in just about 2 weeks back, and one of the carry home messages there for me was that whatever we do in the outer life, if we have to succeed in the outer life, there are these three things which we need. You need willpower, you need concentration, and we need creativity. So these three things, without which I think we can't succeed in the outer life. But whatever is the field, whether it is business, whether it is science, whether it is anything, you need willpower, concentration, and creativity to succeed. On the other hand, if you see in the inner life also, in our spiritual life also, we need the same three things in order to succeed in a spiritual journey. You need willpower, you need concentration, and you need creativity. So if you see from one aspect that this outer and inner is a kind of, you can say, the predicament only in our mind, because ultimately whatever we are doing in the outer life, whatever are our outer responsibilities that God has given us, if they are helping us to develop these three qualities, the same qualities will help us in our inner journey also. So that is one way to look at it, that yes, everything is happening in God. So on one side, if you see, if we are trying to be still, at the same time the abilities that come to us when we work in the world are going to help us to attain that stillness in our spiritual journey. But at the same time, we can see it from one more angle, as it was coming to me as I was thinking about this subject this evening, that that if we see the the kind of motion. Now if you are trying to attain the stillness, now on a soul level we are a part of God, we have come from Him, and if God is stillness, soul too is stillness. So on one level we don't have to achieve anything because we are already that. But because this soul is identified with the body and mind, now body is not still, mind is not still. Body and mind, they are always in motion. There are so many processes, if you see, they are happening in the body. Even when you keep your body still during meditation, still your heart is beating, your lungs are pumping, your digestion is active, your so many other processes in your body, which are more than about 50 trillion cells, they are all happening. Everything is in motion during that time. And same way, things are happening in the mind too. So if you see that motion which is happening around our soul, and not only that, we have created so much of momentum in the past because of our lives that we have lived. Who knows, if we have lived 1,000,000 lifetimes, we have created so much of motion in our body and mind. That is the reason why we are not able to feel that stillness of the soul at any given moment, what we are always carrying within us, because there is so much of motion happening around us. And it is only when we get kind of disentangled ourselves, when we try to disentangle ourselves, or in a way we just separate ourselves by the practice of these tools and techniques, that we, when we rise or when we come into our native soul state, we understand, oh, I am this. This is my real nature. I am already still. And during that period, you feel the bliss or you feel the joy, which is your real nature. So if you see whatever these tools that we are doing, for example, we take the example of the energization exercises. Now, when we energize, what are we doing? We are trying to take the control over our body, and slowly this control over the life force that we are sending to each different muscle, that we have greater control over the life force, we have greater control over our body, and there are certain other deeper effects which are happening. What happens is that as we are able to release the life force, which we are able to generate more life force, because using our willpower we are able to tap into the cosmic source, and then we are able to receive more life force. So what happens, that those cellular machinery which was earlier dependent on taking energy only from the food, they start getting direct energy from the cosmic source itself. So slowly what happens, that these cells, because they are getting nourished by the direct energy, by the cosmic energy, so they lose their dependence on the food. As a result, you understand that slowly your food requirement goes down, and there comes a point where you understand that this habit of eating 3 meals a day is also a kind of habit driven thing, which slowly you start getting into that freedom when you require less and less food. So you see this whole dependence, as we are going, we are taking an outer action, and how this outer action is helping us to go into greater freedom of stillness. So yes, this action is necessary at this point of doing energization exercises every day, which seems like a work, which seems like an effort every day we are doing, but on the whole it is going to give us freedom, so that we can ultimately rise into that stillness which Arjuna wants to enjoy right now. Similarly, take the example of other techniques. Now, if you take the example of Hong Sau technique for that matter, when you concentrate on the breath, when you focus on the breath, slowly your breath starts calming down, and there comes a point when it becomes so subtle, so still, that you hardly feel the breath. And there comes a point, for even if for a brief period, when you go breathless, and then you start understanding, you start realizing that as a soul, to exist you don't need even breath. Even breath is a habit. So slowly, if you see, yes, when you are practicing Hong Sau, it is an effort, it looks like an effort that you are making, but at the same time, when you keep doing it, it is slowly taking you into stillness and into the freedom, which is your ultimate goal. So by and large, these activities that we do, they are not kind of entangling us, just like at one point Master shared this story with one of his disciples, that one master told this disciple that you should not eat. And he said first that you should eat, and then he said you should not eat. And this disciple was absolutely puzzled. He said, aren't these two statements contradictory? Because you are saying you should eat, but you should not eat. What does that mean? And Master explained that his real meaning was that yes, you should eat to sustain your body, but at the same time, you should not feel that it is you who is eating, but rather it is the God who is eating through you. So that was a subtle message there which the Master wanted to give to the disciple. And but you see, the contradiction is only in our mind. The Master sometimes is saying this, and say exactly here, if you see the discussion which was happening between Krishna and Arjuna in the Bhagawad Gita, and Arjuna is bewildered that why are you, on one side you are asking me to get to the understanding, on one side you are telling me to be still, And on the other side, you say that I have to fight a battle. I have to go get over these evil tendencies. I will have to work for it. So let us, sum it up in this way, that if we have to explain that how we can attain that stillness, which is our larger goal, then we will have to do certain activities, which is like doing a counter activity, because already we have created so much motion in our body and mind. And when we do these activities, it is a kind of counter motion, so that it will all cancel one another, and ultimately we will be able to realize that we are absolutely still. I was reading a very interesting book just a few days back, and this was all about how habits, sometimes we become kind of victim of our habits, but how new habits can be inculcated which are good. So in a way, I feel that even in a devotee's life also, if you see, when we are on a spiritual journey, it may look at a particular moment that, oh, because there are certain good days and then there are certain not so good days. So you may start feeling, oh yes, I have to energize again, or I have to meditate again, or I have to do this. And so this book was all about it. I read a very important kind of phenomena there, which this author tells there, and it is about Goldilocks rule. And what does it say is that in order to stay motivated, now we all also have to stay motivated on our journey as devotees, so that we keep progressing, keep taking one step after the other. So how do we do that? He said that scientists have observed that in order to stay motivated on any path, you just have to keep doing that task and keep raising the bar enough so that it is just on the perimeter of your ability, which is to say that if it is just achievable, if you raise the bar enough, the bar should not be raised too high, which you feel you can't achieve, otherwise you won't do it, but it is just high enough so that you can attain it. And there is a good example there, which the author suggests that, so that let's say if you're playing tennis with a child. Now, if you're playing tennis with a child, naturally you are much more bigger in the ability than the child, and you will win all the games. So ultimately you will lose the interest and you will probably not play anymore. And same way, on the other hand, if you see that, let's say you play with some accomplished player, you start playing with, let's say, Roger Federer, and naturally you will lose all the games and so ultimately after some time you will again quit the game and you will say, oh no, I don't want to play. But on the other hand, if you are playing with your friend, let's say, who is just matching with you in your ability, and let's say half of the games you are winning and another half he is winning, that will keep you engaged. As a result, you will look forward to the next game, because there is just enough motivation for you to come and show up, because you know that you can win the game, because it's not that it's too easy for you, you have to make an effort, but at the same time it's not too difficult that you will lose it, but it is just achievable. Now this is a very important point that I learned, that in our daily practices also. Now if you feel that I am doing the same energization exercises, then again maybe you may feel little bored after some time, or you have to be extra motivated to keep injecting that enough enthusiasm every day. But if you just feel that, okay, let me raise the bar of my exercises and let me make it 1% better each day. Just like Yogananda was saying, that if your each meditation is better than the previous one, then you will keep improving. And somebody did this maths, that if you keep improving even 1%, at the end of the year you will be 37 times better. In fact, there was a story which this author shared, that during early 1900s in British UK team of the biking team of the UK, they were not winning any gold medal. In fact, for 100 years they did not win even a single gold medal. And so this new coach came, and there were high expectations from this coach, and this guy actually saw the whole thing from a different angle. He said, let us divide this whole system of this whole activity of biking into different segments, and we will improve each segment by just 1%. And so let's say he started from the seat of the bicycle. So he said, okay, let us improve the seat of the bicycle, make it just 1% more comfortable so that the biker can easily ride. And then he brought his attention to the tires. That okay, let us make the tires, let us rub the tires with alcohol so that they will have 1% more grip on the road, even on the wet surface. Then he paid the attention towards the mattress and the pillows of the bikers. He said, okay, let's make them 1% better so that when they are sleeping on the mattress and the pillow, they get 1% better sleep. Now you can very well imagine he started taking this on and on into maybe 100 different segments of the biking, and you won't believe that that particular year 60% of the gold medals in the biking went to the British team. And they didn't stop there, they kept improving year after year, and they started winning more gold medals. Now the same thing which I'm feeling that can be used anywhere in your field. And this is a great book, actually I would recommend this to you. It is written by this guy James Clear, and the title is Atomic Habits. And when you go into it, he said that okay, now if let us say as a devotee we just think, okay, let me make my energization exercises 1% better. So not only it gives you motivation, but it gives you that challenge to keep that interest on, and at the same time you are improving each day. And finally, I would like to conclude this with another statement, because there will be days when maybe as a devotee you feel really down and out, nothing is working for you. So what do we do at that point? And something, which Swamiji suggested, that on one hand, if you feel we don't have anything to gain, because if you see, Patanjali also said that enlightenment comes as smriti, which is to say that when you feel that, oh yes, when you feel the bliss, let's say in meditation, you know that it is your real nature. You have not acquired it. This is not coming from anywhere outside you. It is your real nature. So he says that finally it all comes down to receiving. He said truth is something which never changes. Truth can never be created, but truth can only be realized. The truth can only be experienced. We are not creating any new truth. We are just recognizing it, that it is there. And just when we are able to clear all that commotion which is happening around us in our bodies and minds, and when all that settles down, you realize that your soul is absolutely still, which was already there. But another thing which can help us here is that when we receive God's love in our heart, when we talk to Him, a very interesting thing which I read in Bhagawad Gita this evening was that devotion is nothing but a response to God's call in our heart, which is to say that you can't create even devotion, because devotion is a response that that comes as a response to God's call. So first God's call has to come in our heart, and when we respond to that is devotion. So devotion is a gift, but that, how can it come? It can come by calling to Him, which is nothing but prayer. So if nothing is working for us, still we can talk to God, still we can call to Him that, oh, yes God, I am your child, you have created me, this is your world, please help me, let us do this together. And Swami always used to say that give God a chance. He's always ready to help us. He's always on your side. And I think God is just playing with us, because some days you will find Him that He just deliberately stays silent because He wants us to take one step, and then He comes and holds our hand. So this is something which is like, saying that God, if something is not happening, if you keep talking, if you keep telling Him, because it is ultimately His world, and all the job from a devotee's side is just to say that, okay, maybe I can't do it, maybe I need help. But when we just talk to him enough, when we even when you know that this is going to be very challenging, it is going to be difficult for you, but he's saying, but he does see that yes, you are putting your not 100% but even 1% every day, and that is very important. Even when he watches you, that yes, you are each day you're putting 1% to make yourself better. Again, you are putting those three ingredients which we saw in the right in the beginning of our talk. You are putting your willpower because you are doing something, you are raising the bar, you are concentrating more, and above all, you are creative. You are putting your creativity because you are trying to do the same thing, as Yogananda said, be more adventurous in your journey towards God. So when we keep doing that, and God is watching us, that yes, He is taking, because He is my child, He already has that creativity, He already has that power which I have given Him, because God has given us everything. He has created us in His image. He watches us, and then He comes to help us ever more. And it becomes, and suddenly when you feel that His help is there, then it becomes very easy, because as Yogananda said, that efforts end in ease. So that point, which is that break point, when you realize that yes, your efforts have really ended in ease, because it could not have happened otherwise, because God came to help us, and that is how it has happened. So thank you, friends, and this is really always interesting to be in this satsang, and let us conclude our satsang with the prayer. Let's invite the great masters who are always there with us. Pray to them, great masters of Kriya Yoga. Divine Mother, please guide us to give our 100%, to give our even 1% every day in new ways. Make us more creative. Help us to put in our willpower. Help us to improve each tool and technique that you have given us each day. And help us to receive your love and joy. And help us to feel your bliss wherever we go and share it with all.